Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, to those where it is Shabbat. Praise Yah for another day of rest. Let me tell you, I'm tired. I'm like also overly shiny. That's a lot better. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat Shalom to everybody at the chat, and for those that will be listening to this after the chat, shalom, shalom, shalom. How has everybody's work week been? Did you have a good work week? Looks like you did. You dirty. Yeah, yeah. Only imagine. How was the sound? Overbus. Hallelujah. Okay, come get him. He's doing the most. Hallelujah, Overbus. Okay, yeah, stay up here. That is what they'll do. They will, once planted and established, and they send that long shoot up and develop that seed head, they will literally walk across your wherever you plant them, and before you know it, brother Overbus, they will be pretty well established deeply to the point where they'll take over that area, which is always a blessing. Man, my beloved brother Ronnie. Yes, sir. It was a hot week. Okay, if you're gonna get on, you want a mommy. Come get him. You're a mommy, okay? Stop playing games. No, you gotta go mommy because you can't play games. Oh, brother, yeah, they'll take over that whole bed. They will take over that whole bed. Hallelujah. Um, it is an honor to be able to sit before y'all today, not as a pastor or a bishop or any of those other terms, but as a brother, as a watchman. Again, not as anything else other than just been a blessing. It's been a blessing. I'm exhausted. For those that have inquired as to the answering of the emails, sisters, a lot of you asked me this week, when are you gonna send me another email? When am I going to get, to the emails that you sent me? Some of y'all, as far as 2.5 months ago. I apologize. One of the toughest things with this is that I don't have, I know a lot of these other churches, they'll have secretaries and, all that. I don't have that. So I try to answer emails and return phone calls in between my work week. And, well, these weeks that are in the summertime are extremely hard. They take a lot of energy out of me during the week. They're hot. So I will be getting back to you. Close the door. Tell her to be quiet. Be quiet. Close the door. There's just a lot to do, growing, planting, harvesting, building. It doesn't always leave an opportunity for me to answer a lot of and if I haven't, honestly, if I haven't answered the email, please do not feel you're disrespecting me or anything like that. Please re-forward me the same email. Sometimes I go through my emails, or just the way my email works, I'm not really sure what it's doing, but it'll cycle certain emails off. And I hate when it, Blade Daywalker, Shabbat Shalom. And I hate when it does that, but it'll cycle off my emails that even I have, what was it, star or I click on it for me to respond to it, later on when I have some time. It cycles those off and I don't see them. And since most of us don't look at our emails on a computer, I look at mine on my phone. Once it's cycled off, unless I go onto the computer, I can't find it. So, man, I'm exhausted. Another thing I want to say is, there's a video that one of my brothers shared in our brothers chat. I would like to bring some attention to, and it's called Hebrews to Hubris. And I think that it was like 20-minute long video. Thank you, brother, that posted it. It shows how this whole quote unquote awakening thing has turned into a place of pride and hubris, and we're better than other people. And one of the things that's most detrimental to people that don't that are in bondage. When people are in bondage, they hold on to anything. And that's what we're starting to see. What we've been seeing is you're seeing a lot of pride, a lot of hubris from people because of what they look like. And I don't want to. I don't want to. Mona Mika, it's Hebrews to Hubris. It's from a brother called. Give me 1 second. Somebody change that radio, please. Why can't I find him? His name is Thoughts, Camera, Action. That's the name. Thoughts, Camera, Action. And the name of the video is Hebrews to Hubris. And it just talks about how this whole, quote unquote, awakening has turned into just a series of pride. It's just prideful people. And, how we've descended into what we say that the world does. You got award shows and, the brother does it, and the brother, I never heard the brother up prior to this, and the brother doesn't know me, but I like to promote channels that are bringing forth a biblical awareness that, why are we running around so prideful? Why are we doing what the nation, what we say the nations, why are we doing what they're doing? Why are we copying them? Yes, they are, my beloved brother Ronnie. They're extremely prideful. I think it talks about 3 different people. It talks about Nathaniel. It talks about, or it shows clippets from Nathaniel from IUIC, Dowell, and Yahweh ben Yahweh, and how people are literally getting to the place where they're being worshipped, and we no longer really worship the Most High Yah. We worship these people, but it just shows little snippets, and he does a great job of breaking down how we've gone from a place of great, we know who we are, and it's an opportunity for us to live this thing right, and we turned it into a prideful thing. Now we are prideful. Now we believe that we're better than everyone else, and it's just it's gone backwards. Like when people ask me, are you a Hebrew Israelite? No. Hebrew Israelite, but am I a Hebrew Israelite? No, I'm not. And a lot of people take offense to that. Oh, you're denying your heritage. See, I want to say something to that. I'm more focused on living what I am and not talking about what I am. Get what I'm saying? The Bible says in the book of Revelation. In fact, let's go there. Well, the Bible's falling apart right now. The book of Revelation, chapter 23, 21. Sorry, 22. Chapter 22. Look at verse 12. And behold, these are the words of Yeshua. That man, Sister Colleen, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Sister Aspen, hallelujah. Yeah, I'm past all the labeling. You know, Israel, yes. But I know some people that call themselves Christians, and they are walking out, and they're in the faith. They keep the commandments. They just don't like what the Hebrew and Israelite what it brings to life. So they still call themselves Christian, but they're walking this faith better than people who say they've been walking for 10, 15 years, and they still call themselves Christian. They don't eat pork. They keep the laws. They keep the feast days. They love their neighbor. They love and they're walking it better than most others that I've seen who call themselves Hebrews and Israelites or Hebrew Israelites. But let me go back to what it says. Revelation chapter 22, verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. According as his work. According to what he does. Not what he says. Not what he showed, but what he actually lives and does. His acts. So I have stopped focusing on the label, using my words, and I focus more on living what this book says. That's where my focus is. I don't focus on trying to yell at women and cuss women out and tell them they're wicked and they're dogs because they don't want to wear a head covering. Because I asked the man who's yelling and cussing at them, are you her husband? Well, if you're not her husband, then what are you yelling and cussing and fussing at her for? You have no authority over this system. So why are you yelling? Or better yet, you're telling other women who aren't your wife how they should be. That's the Sister Aspen, that's it. Daywalker, my brother, that's exactly it. I focus on the doing now. Blessed are the doers. As the book says. He judges us by what we do. Because there's going to be a lot that say in that time, Master, Master. And they're even going to tell you some of the works they did. Haven't I done this in your name? Haven't I done that in your name? Haven't I done this in your name? Haven't I done that in your name? And he's going to say, get away from me, you workers of lawlessness. Those of you that don't keep the law. I never knew you. So what we do is more important. You can call yourself a Hebrew Israelite, an Israelite Hebrew, a Heb is. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. But the question is what are you doing? Not what are you saying? And to be honest, a lot of people today talk the talk, but they live just like everybody else. Done. Shabbat shalom, brother. Shabbat shalom. They talk a big game. That's right. We do have to keep praying for them. But it's frustrating because they'll judge other sisters and brothers. They'll be the ones throwing shade at other sisters and brothers. I mean, destroying other sisters and brothers with their words, with their mouth. And then after they're done, so they'll destroy a brother, or there's a sister who posted up a video and talked about how, you know, the Bible says that, you know, the husband's supposed to wash his wife by the water of the word. He washes his wife by the water of the word. So she was not looking for her pastor or her elders or any of these other people to tell her what it is that she's supposed to be doing. She's going to wait for or look to her husband to wash her. Because he lives with her, he's going to see what needs to be cleansed out of her more than some guy who sees her once a week or who's not her, who she doesn't belong to. She got destroyed by, and it was funny, she got destroyed by a bunch of loudmouth city dwellers. This sister lived with her husband on a homestead, on their, I think they had like two acres of property. And she was getting destroyed. And it was weird because it was like the training. These people were speaking from their training. So when her husband was sharing with me this story, and he made a comment that it's just like the Matrix. So many of these people, the people that are still plugged in the Matrix, you almost have to see them. Hands, are you kidding me? I heard about that, Hands. Another brother sent me a notification that our favorite so-called man of the year destroyed a sister over the way she made his salad appearance. I don't know the details of it, but he absolutely annihilated her over a salad. Literally, a salad. So I separate myself from that. I separated myself from all the ministry labels. Brother Ryan said he heard about that too. Literally destroyed over. That's like me getting mad because the sisters didn't put beets on my salad. I could just go and get some beets. I could just simply say, hey, babe, I asked for some beets. Can you give me a couple beets? Instead, I don't know how it came out, if it was a blog talk or what it was, but to destroy a sister over a salad. As if somehow she has become wicked because she got the salad wrong. And I can only imagine the amount of hallelujahs that there were, the amount of praise yahs, the amount of preach it preachers that there were. First of all, I don't give a damn what no apostolic Pentecostal oneness preacher has to say. I mean, Pastor Roddy, right? That's like you being pissed off because your wife made you tea and it was too hot. I was going to retire next month, but I decided not to. Now I'm building a Portavon 72 yacht. I should be finished in 1.5 years, just as you said. I hear the word, and I just do. Cackle Hatchery has a great collection. Hallelujah, Brother Daywalker. And bless you, brother. I am honored. I'm extremely honored. Thank you. I am honored. But just the idea. Pammy M, Shabbat Shalom, welcome. To think that a sister got destroyed because of this stuff doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, with the amount of work that the sisters here do, I can only imagine if they forgot something every time I decided to run off of my mouth because they forgot something. Well, I also understand. I don't know how you could get so angry at people who are working so damn hard, working their fingers to the damn bone, day and night. And you drive around doing videos. And you have the nerve to get mad at somebody. Bless you, Brother Daywalker. Bless you, bless you. I couldn't imagine. The sisters right now are finishing up on the pizzas. I couldn't imagine me rebuking a sister, rebuking one of them because they made a mess on the floor, because one of the pizzas didn't have jalapenos in it. When I see how hard they work on a daily basis, I see them putting in the effort daily for the vision, and I'm going to get mad because they messed up my salad. Hebrews to hubris. Look at the thoughts, camera, action. That's the YouTube name, thoughts, camera, action, and watch the video, Hebrews to Hubris, and how this whole awakening thing has turned into a freaking game. It's turned into a freaking crap show. I'm really trying hard to work on my cussing. It's and to think that people shit, I know my wife put in a lot of work. I am not about to blow it over something so stupid, right? I challenged him that I could make him look stupid in 5 minutes or less. He didn't take it. You know, one of the things is, you know, you look at a lot of these so-called leaders and you notice that they always want to go and they always want to go debate some guy that they know that they can destroy. I look at it like, why don't you debate somebody that has some knowledge? Let's debate all things in common. Let's debate that. I would love that debate. Love it. Nope. Don't run your household like a roaring lion. Right. Like, I have rules in my household. I have a code in my household. I run a pretty tight ship here at the house. A pretty tight ship. I also understand that they work hard, and I understand that I don't know everything, not even close. So part of them being my rib is me trusting in them. Can you imagine a woman who was striving to be a Proverbs 31 wife not being allowed to be that? Brother Ronnie, that's what mine are doing. Brother Palmetto, no. Brother Palmetto said a bully doesn't want a challenge. He doesn't. He wants to dictate. He doesn't want to be questioned. You can't question him. You can't say, you better just agree. You agree, you're going to hell. Close the door, son. Good job, bud. This stuff is just insane. But this is the so-called awakening. I don't know about a lot of y'all, but I am extremely thankful for the wives that I have. And while I am when I need to be stern, and I am when I need to, if I need to rebuke, I do. But my God, yeah, it's just a salad, a salad system, a salad. These sisters, they process meat, they process the chickens, they process the goats, they make milk, or they make milk. Well, they do make milk because they're mothers, but they milk the goats. They make cream, they make butter, they cook from scratch. Most of the meals are from scratch. They garden, they sew diapers, they help with the business, they work, they help with the gardens, they do all of these things. And I'm going to get mad because one day she washed my underwear with some towel. A pair of my underwear got washed with some towel, and now it has little lint on it. And because it's got little lint on it, I'm gonna go off. Again, AF22, Shabbat Shalom, brother from Brazil. Shabbat Shalom. Again, watch it because he's also on it. Hebrews to Hubris, from the guy who makes videos, the content creator. Thoughts, camera, action. Very telling of what we have going on right now. Very telling of what's going on right now. So am I Hebrew? Sure. Am I Israel? Yes, I am. Am I a Hebrew Israelite? No, I'm not. Believer? Absolutely. Love the Father? Lawkeeper? Absolutely. To the best of my ability. Father? Yes. Husband? Yes. Watchman? Yes. Man. Absolutely, Brother Daryl Vick. Absolutely. There it is, pal. Palmetto put it up right there in the chat. Thank you, my brother. Right there in the chat. If you have some time, it's the 20-minute video after the stream. Please watch it so you can see what's taking place today. Thank you, Brother Palmetto Paratrooper. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to keep bringing awareness to this stuff. I'm going to keep bringing awareness to this stuff. There you go, follower of the way. What that tells me is that you're my brother and we are allies. I shouldn't look at you as my enemy. Hallelujah. So that goes into, if it comes up on my phone or my tablet. My beloved brother Frank. Right. If that's the way that's straight, I know where that is taking you to, straightly. So then if that's the case, I guess I'm going to have to go on a crooked path. If that is the way to the kingdom, and I know whose kingdom it is, ain't the kingdom of Yah, then I'm going to have to take the next exit. Because the Bible tells me that narrow path is pretty difficult to find. Few there be that find it. He didn't tell me go watch a bishop or a pastor or an elder and you'll be on the path. He said, I have to search for it. Seek and ye shall find. But few there be that find this path. The path that leads to Yahshua. That leads to our Father, our Master Yah. That leads to his kingdom. Guess that kind of segues into this. Blessings to all the sisters that are in the chat. This is something that I going 90 off the next exit. Yes, sir, Brother Roddy. Ow, my knee. Let me get my fly swatter real quick. I got some flies flying around. All right. Sisters, this is very important, I feel, that you all listen to this because, and brothers, you too, I want you all to listen to this. I get more and more communications from sisters who, and I keep trying to point you back away from church, away from all this secular ideology, especially these life coaches. Get away from the life coach. And I keep trying to bring you back to who you were created to be. What you were created to be. Francine H, Shabbat Shalom. Why are my comments all messed up? I got some comments where I'm just seeing like squares. I can't reload this because if I do, then it's gonna mess up the screen. I gotta figure out what's going on in my comments. I have like so many comments that above Francine H, I see squares. Anyways, if I missed your comment, I apologize. Some of y'all just squared out. But I'm bringing this to you. And it is the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. I'm surprised, to be honest, that there are a lot of people who have never heard of this. I talked to a lot of my brothers, and some of them are like, I didn't even know that there was a such thing of it. It's basically a blueprint of how to make a slave. And oh my God, Brother Delvic, Brother Delvic, I see people confuse, and then I see squares. Brother Frank, squares. Brother Ronnie, have that book. and I see squares. Did you say anything? What the heck is going on? But see, Bert, I can see your comment. You said you froze a few minutes ago. Oh gosh, I apologize, everybody. But Brother Ronnie, tell people how to control. I can read you. I can read your comments. But Brother Daryl, I can't read all yours. And Brother Frank, I don't see yours. Project 5P, I don't see your comment either. Well, Shabbat Shalom, welcome to the stream. I can see Sister Aspens. It might be my phone or my end. I don't know why. I'm gonna log in. I'm gonna log into my on my tablet, but I just wanted to. I have to use the tablet for this to read the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. This is a very telling thing because it's the blueprint that he used, that he's talking about. It not only applies to today, but it also shows it's from 1712. But it comments are fine here, but I'm guessing StreamYard because it is StreamYard because I'm using the StreamYard chat right now because I can't go on my phone or my tablet to look at the YouTube comments. But I want you all to listen to this. And sisters, I want you all to understand and to listen to how this attack pertains specifically, literally, the attack is against you, the weaker vessel. Because William Lynch understood that by getting her, you get the family. By tearing her away from protection, you get the family. I'm not speaking the things that I speak of because I want to see every woman oppressed. I want to see every woman loved. I want to see every woman in a family. That's what I want to see. That is where you will always be most productive. You will always be more productive in a family setting. Always. And I'm speaking from the Bible. It could be husband-wife. It could be, I'm only saying this because this is still a covering household setting. It could be concubine, husband. It could be servant husband. Being with a man is so important, which is why the attack is on it. This is from the year 1712. And you can download the PDF and read it for yourself. This is just a download of a PDF. You can read it for yourself. But I want to read some things to you. I want you to understand, brothers and sisters, why it is that they try to make slaves, how they do it, and ask yourself, is this blueprint relevant today? And you'll find out that it is. So we're not going to read it word for word because it's a pretty long letter, but we will, and that would mean that we wouldn't be able to have discussion on it. But we are going to skip and read snippets of it. Again, please download the whole letter and read it. Read it to your children. Read it to your husbands. Read it to your children. Read it to your wives. Read it to your community. Read it to those that are around you. There is also some language in there, some derogatory racial language. So just be aware. So we're going to skip to a part where it says he introduces himself. I'm going to start right here. Please listen, brothers and sisters. I caught a whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stocks by hanging, you are having uprising. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. However, I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. What is this book called? It's called the Willie Lynch. If you type in the Willie Lynch letters, you'll find it. Type it in your Google browser, download the PDF, and you'll find it. But it's how to make a slave, essentially. I guarantee every one of you that if it is installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. I don't spill. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear. Now, ask yourself, does your local church do this? Willie Lynch said, it is a psychology book, Brother Alex. Bless you, brother. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple list of differences and think about them. On the top of my list is age, but it is there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is an intelligence, size, sex, size of plantation, status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on the hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short, meaning you exacerbate every difference you find. You find that in the church today. We're a true Israel. I'm the only one doing this. I don't know nobody else who's as good as me. Differences. They're always focusing on differences. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I will assure you that distrust is stronger than trust. And envy is stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. So they use distrust as a weapon. Today, what do we have? Amongst men and women, we have a strong level of distrust. I've talked with sisters who are interested in polygyny, interested in joining a man's house, interested in being covered. The biggest thing, though, is how can I trust a man? How can I trust a man to yada, 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 yada? I've been hurt by men so many times. You see what I'm talking about? Uh-oh. They use that distrust. They use that distrust. They cause you, why do you think it is that they take the words of Yeshua, a man's own foe shall be the of his own household? They destroy the context, and then they tell you that your family is going to be your worst enemy. They immediately have you looking at your mama and your dad and your brothers, all your natural brothers, all wrong. When if you look at Israel, Israel was literally a family. But they want you to look at your family crooked. They tell you certain things, and they destroy the context of the original, meaning of that term. For instance, spirit is thicker than blood. They throw that at you, and they give you the perception that they, as your church, are stronger than your family. Well, the only reason that they of your church have a closer relationship to you is simply because they're of the same church. But you want to know what's even stronger? What is stronger? Your natural brother that is in the faith, or a brother that is in the faith that you now know? Because I will present that the reason why they are able to present this is because a lot of us don't have natural family that are in this faith right now. Every cult has to take you away from your natural family, or they might talk you out of joining a cult. That's right. You see, if I had a brother, if one of my brothers, who we were growing, we were raised together. If one of them was in the faith, you know how strong we would be. They would have a love for my other brothers the same way I would, because they'd be fellowshipping with me, and I'd be fellowshipping with these brothers. So if I had a natural brother in the faith, that would be so special to have a natural brother in the faith. But my natural brother would love Brother Ronnie the same way I love Brother Ronnie, because my natural brother would be hanging around and fellowship with Brother Ronnie just like I do. Look at Brother Alex said, I'm on my dad's back porch now. Such a blessing to see them serving Yah. There is nothing like your natural family serving Yah with you. Nothing like it. But they'll tell you to throw away your natural family because they have questions. Look at that. If I had a natural brother in the faith, I might even break him off some of my wealth. Look at that. Oh, Brother Darrell, I can see your comment. Brother. I guess that's what happens when the word of Yah is translated and transliterated from Hebrew to Greek to Latin to English. So many verses are misinterpreted from their true meaning. Absolutely, brother. If you look at the book tells you, you see a lot of people throw that verse around. If a brother dies, then the other brother, look at Sister Mona Mika said, me and my twin sister are like that. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Blessings to you and your twin sister. But you see people throw the verse. I can see your comment now, Brother Frank. I trust my faith brother more than my natural brother. That's because your natural brother's not in the faith. But if your natural brother was walking his faith out with you, I guarantee most of you would trust your natural brothers, your natural family, who are also in the faith, more than your beloved brothers. That doesn't take away from your brother. Me loving my natural brother and having that connection with him doesn't take away the love I have for Brother Ronnie. See, we have this misconception that it takes away from. No, it doesn't. I would continue to love Brother Ronnie, Brother Frank, the way I do today. But having a natural brother would be just that much more special. The book says that if a man has a wife and he dies without having a seed to take on his name, his brother living on his land. See, the Christian church, and I'm talking about the Christian being even in the faith, they teach that to mean that any man on your community, or any man that calls himself your spiritual brother, can come in and sleep with your wife, bear a child, and call it your child. When it says brother, it's talking about kin. Because my natural brother has my name, my last name. We both come from the house of, and now I have my house, but he has his house. But can you imagine? And I'm just gonna keep the shit real. I'm just gonna keep it real. A brother can't come in and have a child with my wife in my name because I didn't have a child with her. When the brother came from a different, it has to be your natural brother who lives on your land, or you all live together. The Bible says they have to dwell together, and they have to be natural brother. So there's something to be said about your natural family. But these churches, they come in and say, that's right, Brother Alex, that is absolutely right, brother. The book of Ruth lays out the patriarchal family dynamic to a T. Patriarchal family dynamic. If you read the book, it follows a patriarchal family. Women had to be part of a man and his family, and that's where their covering came from. But see, when you go to these churches and they immediately spit to you that A man's own foes are going to be those of his own household. It's going to be your natural family that turns against you. It's going to be them. A lot of times, you never even gave them the chance. You already look at them because they question your belief. They should question your belief. And you should be able to explain it to them. You shouldn't see that as they're challenging your faith and they're trying to take you out of the faith because they dare ask you a question. Why are you moving to that man's land for? Oh my God, they're trying to take me out of the faith. I have to stop talking to them. Why is your wife not listening to you and listening to her pastor? Oh my gosh, she's trying to draw a division between me and pastor. Look at Brother Alex. Look at Brother Alex. Look at this, y'all. I just did a teaching on Ruth for my family. The main character of the book of Ruth is Naomi's deceased husband. That's reading it in proper context. That's reading it in the patriarchal context that the book is written in. His close kin treated him, his land, and those women with reverence to him. Beautiful. That's what the book of Ruth is about. Now, with that understanding, brothers and sisters, go read the book of Ruth again. Now you know why Boaz is so important. The kinsman redeemer. Anybody? So there's always been this attack on the family. Satan attacks the family. Apparently your pastor attacks the family, because by getting you away from people that could speak to you, that truly care for you. They may not understand the Bible, but you do have to understand that they care for you. And you should be able to explain to them your belief. Brother Daryl said, this goes back to LaFrance Hart, Shabbat Shalom. This goes back to your video you had a few days ago where you, where you should be willing to let others ask you and you ask yourself the question why. Brother Daryl, thank you for bringing me back to that video. That question why is so important. I ask myself that question why, and I give myself answer all the time. Ask yourself the question. If you're a brother and you want another wife, ask yourself the question why. Why do you want another wife? And you should be able to articulate it. See, by asking yourself the question why and hearing your answer, you can see if you're lining up with where you want to go. If you say, my goal is to grow 500 apple trees, that means that I have to work and I have to save up my money. Then if you come to me and say, hey brother, I'm taking a vacation to the Bahamas for a month. And I say, why? Well, because, I just really want to chill. I just want to have a good time. What happened to your wanting your 500 apple trees? Oh, I'll get it. I'll start saving up next year. That tells me, and that should tell you, you really don't want that orchard of 500 apple trees. You see, when I look at people and I say, when I hear a person say, I want this, want to me is not some abstract thought. Want means you're about to put your feet into the ground and you're about to push until you get it. That's what I look at and I say, want. People, they say, I want some land. And then they go out and spend their money consistently eating out. How much money do you have in your savings? Oh, $400. You've been saving money for a year. You got $400 and you say you want land. The Remnant fam, Shabbat Shalom. You don't want land. You're just saying that because you've heard other people say. You're just giving the right answer. I did a lesson on that with the sisters. I said, we have to get to a point where it's not about having the right answer. It's about showing your work. Being I'm math. I like math. I'm big on math. I believe in the logic of math. I believe that math answers questions. So, long division. If you know how to click in the calculator, that what's 9 divided by 136, you can click it into the calculator and get the number and the remainder, but you have no idea how to get there. You haven't shown your work. Shown your work. Because if you show your work, and I've taught people math, when I teach people, when I did teach people math, a lot of times they would be able to put the numbers in the calculator and get the answer. But then when they did their long division, they didn't come up with that answer. And I look at them and I said, so how is your work lead to a different answer than a calculator does? You might know the answer, brothers and sisters, but you have no clue how to get there. Like I could say, from where you are, how do you get to LA? And you might say, well, Brother Chris, head west. That's true, head west. But how do I get to LA? Because I could go west and I can end up in Salem, Oregon. I can end up in San Diego, California. I can end up in San Francisco, California. I can end up in Topeka, Washington. The answer is not just go west. Show your work. Where do I turn north? Where do I turn south? Where do I get off the freeway? Where? If most people today can't show their work, and remember we just read in Revelations, you will be judged by your work. Not the answer, the work. Most of us in this chat right now know to go to the Bible for our answer. We even know what the Bible says, but when it comes to showing our work, we ain't showing shit. You may know that the Bible says, husbands, love your wives. But when it comes down to it, I ain't loving her because ... Why? Respect, honor, reverence your husband. I know the Bible says that, but ... So you know the answer, but you don't actually know how to get there. You can know. You talk to people about coming off grid. I counsel people about off-grid living, and they'll say something like, I'm going to dig a well. They just flippantly throw that word out there. And I'm like, okay, but how? With what money? You're talking about, in this area, at least there are around 10 G's for a well. You can't even save up your down payment for your land, but you're talking about dropping 10 G's for a well. Yeah, sure, a well is the answer to get water, but how do you plan on getting there? So you can't show your work. And when you show your work in that long division problem, it never lines up with the answer. And what I found out today is most people in this faith have no clue how to do the work, but they have done a great job memorizing. Isn't that what school teaches you? Isn't that what school teaches you? In school, are they interested in you understanding, or are they interested in you memorizing? Come on, you school nerds. I went to school. Brother Gary. Right, Brother Gary. Especially with the way that the casing has gone up in price, the metal has gone up in price. You better have 20K. But I've talked to so many people at school, and they think that they're brilliant because they memorize. I'm like, I passed high school and I graduated college, and you know that I didn't do a whole lot of studying because I understood what college was. I understood what school was. It was memorizing. Just memorize a bunch of stuff. You didn't really have to use a whole lot of understanding. Not until I got to exercise science, then you started having to understand how to apply, trigonometry or geometry into muscle movement, things like that. What angle, if a guy's holding a 20-pound bag at a I don't know, 45-degree angle from his biceps to his triceps, how much pressure is being applied to his hand if it's at a 36-degree angle. Oh yeah, now you have to have some sort of understanding of mathematically. But until then, you don't know how to apply it, and most people don't know how to apply the Bible. They have no understanding in the Bible. One of my brothers, I believe it was Brother Jay Moore, said it last week on this chat. He said, the Bible's not just for your growth spiritually, but it's also physically. First that which is natural, first that which is physical, then that which is spiritual. You know, your pastor will tell you that until it comes to your natural family, then suddenly it's that which is spiritual first, then that which is physical. You have to understand. You want my pen back. Go put that back. Go put it back. Davey, clean up. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. You see how this cycle works. And he didn't say have the slaves distrust the slave masters. He said have the slave masters distrust the slaves. So the owner, this is still the Willie Lynch letters, Edify the Body. We're reading the Willie Lynch letters to make a slave, or how to make a slave. So you have, so even the owner of the land had to pit his own people against the slaves. So this psychological thing wasn't about just, in order to make slaves, you also have, if you read the book of Jasher and you read how Pharaoh actually caused the Hebrews, minus Levi, to go into the city of Pithom and Ramses, he actually pitted his own masters against the Hebrew people. The same way as Willie Lynch letter did. All Willie Lynch did, I guarantee he probably extracted most of this from ancient biblical writings. Guarantee you. You must have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it is necessary your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. So, why do you think it is, sister, that you have a whole governmental system that is based on you trusting them over your husband? Think about it. Your pastor wants you to trust him over your husband. The president wants you to trust him over your husband. The welfare office wants you to trust them over you, over the men that are supposed to be there for you. They want you to trust Section 8 housing over the man. Trust any and everybody but that man that Yah said you were created to be a helpmeet to. Don't trust him. Do not trust him. Trust everybody else but him. That's the way it works. So what you have today, you have women that will trust anything. They'll trust the pastor. They'll trust the elders. They'll trust their mama. They'll trust anybody but the man that's supposed to be in their life, their father or their husband. Anybody but them. That's exactly it, Edify the Body. Bless you, Sister Rachel. That's absolutely it, Edify. Absolutely it. You can destroy and control any and everybody. And I'm going to show you. I hope y'all are in the chat. I hope y'all are listening. He tells you how to do it. Let's go there. All right, here are the cardinal principles for making a slave Negro. Now, this is not anybody today. I'm not specifically saying this to those of us of color, because if you follow this faith truly to what the book says, this system is trying to make a slave out of you. If you say, I'm going to obey Yah, I'm going to do what the book says. I know it's scary, but I can see the Bible tells me to get married. I'm going to do it. Understand you're going to have a whole system that's going to come against you. What about What if he's abusive? What if he has more than one wife? What if he doesn't treat you equally like he treats her? What if he doesn't love you? What if he tells you to shut up? If I got any closer, I'd knock my phone over. All they spend their time doing, just listen to the things that you hear. It's nothing but fear and distrust. And I'm scared. I'm so scared that I can't follow what y'all told me to do. I can't do it, Palmetto. That's the truth. Right. What if I make the salad wrong? What if I make the salad wrong? It's crazy. Let's continue. Again, download the PDF. Read it. For fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both horse and man. So Willie Lynch equated breaking a black slave to breaking a horse. And mind you, the word is called breaking. Men, they're trying to break you. Women, the point of breaking the man is to have control over you. For fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both horse and man, we lay down the art. For if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break and tie both the beast together, the nigger and the horse. So they're saying you have to tie together the horse and the black slave. We understand that short-range planning and economics results in periodic chaos. So that to avoid turmoil in the economy, it requires us to have breadth and depth in long-range comprehensive planning, articulation, both skills and sharp perception. What you're seeing today is not so. See, the powers that be. See, today, we as people, you and I, we have a hard time even planning. No, I don't, not anymore. But you talk to your average person, they have a hard time planning what they're going to do in the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years. They literally don't know where they're going to be in 5 years. I don't know if I'm going to be living here or if I'm going to be in another apartment. I might have moved 2 or 3 apartments by then. The powers that are planning this, they're playing checkers or chess while you're playing checkers. You're playing marble. They have generational plans while you're trying to figure out what the hell you're going to do. They planned for their children to take over the plan. And you're trying to figure out, what are you going to do next year? What are you going to do a year from now? You've got no chance when your plan is helter-skelter and you have no clue what you're going to do next year. You want to know, if I ask the sisters here, what are they going to do next year? They know exactly what they're going to be doing next year. God forbid, some catastrophe or something like that. Obviously, that would affect everybody. That's right, Palmetto Paratrooper. If you look at our ancestors, when Yah told our ancestors, you're going to have, there's going to be so many of you that you won't be able to be numbered. That's not a next year plan. That's a long-term plan. When Abraham promised, Yah promised Abraham, that wasn't a tomorrow promise. That was a long-term promise that was going to span generations. Most of us today plan generationally. That's why we're getting our ass kicked as a whole. It's because most people's plans, see, if you look at things long term, you won't be so goddamn emotional. If you look at things long term, you would understand that emotion that you're going to give out today will affect your tomorrow. So rather than go and act a damn fool and tell your husband, you know what, I don't need you, I can go get the bag by myself. Short-term planning. Now, what happens when you're 50 and 55 years old and you going after that bag didn't work out the way you thought it was going to? And now you don't have a husband. Now you don't have anything. Your children don't want to talk to you because they found out how ratchet you were. And you could have had the long-term plan. If you look at the book, submission is a long-term plan. Going out there, if you read the book and you see the book says, and it says, when you plant a tree, don't eat the fruit until the 5th year. The first 3 years, it's not for fruit. The 4th year is the fruit is yours. The 5th year, it's yours. You look at our people, and we were long-term planners. The prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. The foolish one passes on as punished, probably because that foolish man is looking for the immediate turn. You look at investors, Warren Buffett, people like that. They didn't do no long-term, I'm going to go and buy some Dogecoin and hope that I make it rich. Today, in today's time, everybody wants to get rich quick scheme. We want to win Publishing Clearinghouse. We want to win the winning lotto ticket. If you gave a guy $5 or he had his last $5, he's more inclined to go and try to win the lotto. When I would probably, at my last $5, if I had only $5 left in my name, I'm going to buy a whole couple rolls of newspaper or paper towels or just towels and some Windex. And I'm going to be that cat in front of your car at Walmart asking, can I clean your windshield for $1? Palmetto. We don't understand long term when Yah is a long term Yah. That's right, Brother Ryan. They want to get that thing fast. They want it fast. Marriage is a long term thing. Why do you think we're failing as a society? And I'm talking about society, I'm talking about us in the faith. Why do you think our families are failing? Because everything is an immediate, I want to see a return. I want to be happy today. I don't know many people that get into something and are happy the first day. When I first moved here, I wasn't happy the first day. Palmetto Paratrooper has told us, shared with us brothers, when he was living where he was living before. It took him years to rebuild the house that he had. He didn't move into it and have the dream home that he wanted. He had to work for it. The slave master had a 300-year plan or more. Today we came and planned for the next 3 months. Now let me ask you a question, brothers and sisters. Is Yah a immediate gratification Yah, or is Yah a long-term Yah? I mean, somebody that sees a day, we might see a day for him is as 1,000 years to us. Do you think that Yah is a immediate right now Yah, or could Yah possibly be a long-term generation to generation Yah? What kind of Yah do you think he is? I mean, he's going to bless you in the here and now. But do you really think that Yah is I'm going to give you it because you went and prayed, I'm going to go and give you what you asked for today? Sister Susan, bless you, Sister Susan. Brother Will, blessings, sir. I honor you and your house. Blessings to the house of Brian. Yah, when I read this book, he's from everlasting to everlasting. I don't see an everlasting being Yah looking at us, seeing us as, oh, it's short term. I mean, back in the book, people were living 900 years. Do you know how many generations they saw in 900 years? Think of that. Think of how many generations that Noah saw. Was it 900 and something years that he lived? How many generations did Noah see? Let's just say he saw 2 generations per 100 years, and I'm going that's very, very long term. He saw 17 to 18 generations, and he probably saw more than that. It could have been 36 generations that Noah saw. if they were having children at 20 years old. He's long term. When he gives you something, the parable of the talents, he gave the talent and the master took off. The master didn't sit there and watch them. He gave them the talent, he took off. And when he came back, they better have their money. So why is it that you look at your success in such a short term? Why do you see it as such a short? See, Satan, I can tell you, is probably a short-term person because he knows his time is limited. He has to bust his ass and move as fast as he possibly can. Does this mean we should sit back and just be patient? Well, yeah, it requires us to be patient. He also requires us to be hasty because there's a time for everything under the sun. There's a time for you to move, and there's a time for you to sit still. We're in the time that we got to be moving right now because a lot of us have made some messed up decisions in our lives. You don't have the time to sit back and wait. You need to move today, right now. The whole point is when it came to making a 40 generations. Look at that, Jay Morris. When I look at marriage, I don't look at marriage as in what gratification is it going to bring to me today. Sure, I'm gonna have a gratification today. I look long term. I look at my children. I look at what I'm doing here, and I say, if me in my mid-30s can do this, can do what I've done to build the rock out of completely wooded raw land, in the 4.5, 5 years I've been here, without any knowledge of building, no knowledge of solar, no knowledge of gardens, what are my children going to do when they were born into this? When they are born into Yah's law? When they are born into this faith? When they are born into patriarchal order? When my daughters are not born into being ratchet? They're not born into being baby mamas. They're going to be born outside. They were born outside the system. They were born outside of MTV. And what was that we're talking about today? Love and hip hop. They were born outside of all of this. If I was able to do this in this amount of time, what are they going to do in their generation? And what are their children going to do? And what is their children's children going to do? And if the world lasts another 100 years, what the heck is this part of the Ozarks going to look like in 100 years? When I see Yah said, "Be fruitful and multiply and subdue the earth," he wasn't talking about be fruitful and multiply just this generation. He was talking about each subsequent generation be fruitful and multiply and subdue it. Today, everything's immediate gratification. That's exactly it, Palmetto Paratrooper. Patriarchal men think different. We think long term. So when I get money and I invest it, not it does not mean that we don't go and do fun things. We go and do fun things. But I often weigh it. This instant gratification. This day and age, it's I want it now. Prosperity teaching doesn't help either. You are blessed if you have material things. Our eyes are on the wrong things. Absolutely. My eyes are on family. That's where my eyes exist. That's what my eyes are focused on. Family. Skill. To quote my wife, unlike many people, Yah doesn't look as far as your nose. He looks so far off. Blessings to the wife of Brother Dede. The reason that they were able to make slaves, if you read the story in Jasher, is Pharaoh was looking long term. That's how he was able to get the Hebrews to be slaves. Today, the slave master of that time was looking, he wrote this in 1712. What, a decade ago? Look at where we are now. Let's continue. I don't want to lose y'all. Let's continue. So I just want to say that this stuff is family and marriage. Sorry, marriage and family should revolve around a reverence for both the forefathers, rather than number wisdom. That number wisdom. I am so sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my internet. I mean, it says that I have a good speed. If it continues to do that, try leaving and coming back in. What are you gonna do down there? Turn it off. Of course, doesn't help when you have like 8 tablets hooked up to the internet at one time. Please let me know if it gets any better. I had everybody turn off their devices. Am I coming in? How am I coming in? How am I coming in? I'm sweating, I know that. Okay, yeah. Everybody turn on their tablets all at once. All right. So let's continue. The Willie Lynch letter. So he said it requires us to have breadth and depth in long-range, comprehensive planning. That means they plan to the detail. Are you planning your life to details? Or are you just kind of throwing shit into the wind, hoping some of it sticks? I hope to be married in 6 months. Okay, so what are you doing to fix that? What are you doing to remedy that? No, nothing. Great. Let's continue. We lay down the following principles for long-range, comprehensive economic planning. Brothers, now be honest. How many of you are planning for long-range, comprehensive economic planning? How many of you are planning for that? Or is it just the here and now? You're selling out your children's future for a little bit of fun today. Let's make a slave. Principle 1. Again, I'm reading this verbatim, so there's going to be some derogatory language that may be offensive to some. Both horse and nigger are no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. Did you catch that? Both horse and nigger are no good to the economy, to the slave master's economy, in the wild or natural state. Why do you think it is they're always trying to subdue you, brothers? There's always this shaming tactic. You speak about this, they shame you for that. They cancel you. You're not good to their economy being controlled or being free. They want you controlled. You can't be natural and you can't be wild. I embrace my natural wild state. I embrace it. I embrace the fact that I haven't been trained that the man can stick. You hear all these men. I'm a lion from the tribe of Judah. You're a lion from the tribe of Judah. Well, does anybody know the characteristics of a lion? Because if you're a lion, then why is it that you're letting your tail in your mouth and you haven't bit down on it yet? Because I don't know many wild lions that would allow somebody else to put their head into your mouth and then pull it out and say, ta-da! You're a joke. Ain't no lion from the tribe of Judah. You a kitten from the tribe of pussy. You are an emasculated man. You're weak. You're not wild. That's brother. Brother Alex said, lions don't have sheps. Oh gosh. I'm a lion sheep. Lions don't have sheps. Oh gosh, that is so good. That is so good, brother. Woo. Number 2, both must be broken and tied together for orderly production. So the whole point for you to be productive, as any sort of man today, but at this time it was for the slave, is they have to break you. What do you think child support's about? It's about breaking the man. Why do you think it is they created no-fault divorce? From before, it used to be you had to have a reason. They brought no-fault divorce in because it's going to break the man. It's all pointing towards breaking that man. Because now that the system's involved, as sisters, you play an instrumental role in this. Because I'm a firm believer that there should not be all this divorce. And it would not be all this divorce if everybody did their roles. But the reality of it is 60, depending on where you get your stats from, 60 to 80% of marriages are initiated by the woman. Of divorces are initiated by the woman. So you're going to the slave master and asking the slave master to subdue your husband. You are complicit in the making of a slave. You are a friend with the slave master. And in today's time, that doesn't matter what color you are. You can be a white sister, a black sister, a black man, a white man, a Hispanic man, a Chinese woman. You could be any one of them. What happens? That woman decides, I ain't handling doing this shit no more. She runs to the system, and now that lion has to tap dance and buck drive to the tune of the government. Not even your tune. Listen, keep listening, sisters. Please keep listening. For the orderly futures, special and particular. Listen to this. Listen to this. Tanisha, where's she at? Ebony. Find me that verse on your phone right now, or go on your phone and find that. After my people, there shall be their presence. Let me show them over there. Find that verse real quick. On your phone. It's Ezekiel. Wait, no, it's not. Hold on one second. I find it quickly. I gotta find a verse for you because this next one is very, 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 very important. Sisters, you are being used by this system. When you are uncovered, they use you. When you're covered, they try and use you. What did they do in the time of Pharaoh? They scared you. Everything is about fear to break you away from that cover or to keep you uncovered. They even went and got some of these sold out sisters and told them, yeah, go ahead and sing a song called Independent Woman. Go ahead and chase the bag, sis. So now you got women chasing the bag. You got women chasing money. Get out. Isaiah 3:12. Isaiah, brother Daryl just said it. All right, Isaiah 3:12. Thank you, brother Daryl. Thank you, Tisha. Listen to this. Isaiah 3:12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err and destroy the way of thy paths. Put that verse in your head right now and listen to this. Point 3, for the orderly future, special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the young offspring. So Isaiah wrote about that. And then we see it in the Willie Lynch letters. pay particular attention to the female and the offspring. Not so much the male. We actually don't really even need the male when it comes to enslaving a person's mind. Let's continue. I'm going to prove it to you based on the letters. Both must be crossbred to produce a variety and division of labor. Brother Alshaw, that's exactly it. There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing new. Willie Lynch had an understanding that in order to make a slave, you have to get the women and children. You have to get the women. If you get the women and children, you win. You'll get the man. Get the women and children. Make it sound sexy for them. I was reading an article. The women are having divorce parties now. They're divorcing their husband and talking, I'm free finally. Woo, gosh. Get the women and children, you'll get the man. Number 6. Number 5. Both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. Your name is Toby. No, it's Kunta. Psh. Say Toby. Kunta. Psh. Say Toby. Kunta. Psh. Say Toby. Toby. Number 6. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. We hold the above 6 cardinal principles as truths to be self-evident, based on the following discourse concerning the economics of breaking and tying the horse and the nigger together, all inclusive of the 6 principles laid down above. Neither principle alone will suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for the orderly good of the nation. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or natural nigger is dangerous, even if captured, for they will have tendency to seek customary freedom, and in doing so might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They had an understanding that the wild slave, nigger, and the wild horse are always going to seek for freedom. So you have to pacify them. You have to break them. Sisters, they want to break you. Because if you were in your wild state with the wild slave, both of you are going to seek your freedom. And the Bible says, seek and ye shall find. If you seek it as one, you will find it. But to prevent that from happening, can you imagine the husband and the wife, husband and wives working together? Can you imagine an economic system that could be produced from a husband and 2, 3 wives all working towards the same goal? A husband and his wife, one wife, working towards the same goal? Do you understand what kind of freedom will come from that? Do you understand what you could accomplish working together? See, when you're a woman and you're working by yourself, the system ain't worried about you. You ain't doing shit. I'm going to keep it real. Satan's probably not worried about you. I'm doing all this praying. So you have no power to affect anything. But let you get with that husband. Let you get with him. Let him put a vision out there. Let him be a free, wild brother, white or black. Let him be a free one. Let him be a wild one. Wild against the system, but submitted to the Father. Submitted to Yah. Let him be that. And watch what gets done. Watch what gets done. When there's family order. See, they didn't want family order. Let's continue. They sleep while you are awake and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house. It requires too much labor to watch them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in the natural state. You can't get them to work in the natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. That is, break them from one form of mental life to another. They break the man from one state of mentality to the slave mentality. You notice that you see Martin Luther King Boulevard in most inner cities, but how many Malcolm X Boulevards do you see? You don't see very many. You know why? Do you know why that system honors MLK but not honor Malcolm X? Do you wonder why? Most of you who have gone through Black History Month have never heard of the Willie Lynch letters. You ever heard? You ever wonder why? You never heard. You hear about the Civil War, kind of. You'll hear about Rosa Parks. You'll hear about maybe Marcus Garvey. You're definitely going to hear about get them. You're definitely going to hear about George Washington Carver. But you notice you don't ever hear about Nat Turner. You know, the wild slave, the one that sought freedom, the natural slave. You don't ever hear about him. He gets that much in your history book. Malcolm X gets that much. But Martin Luther King gets whole chapter. You want to know why? That's Palmetto. That's exactly it. Right. You don't hear about Huey Newton. You don't hear about Huey Newton. Palmetto said MLK was more like Gandhi. You hear them being a pacifist. And when did Martin Luther King start becoming dangerous? They had to kill him. Most people don't even understand. They'll tell you some convoluted story. Martin Luther King started to adopt he started to do away with that whole idea of nonviolence. He started to switch, turn sides. He started to see that the way he was telling people continually got blacks' ass kicked. So he was starting to see a little bit of what Malcolm X was saying. Martin Luther King was starting to see that maybe integration is not the answer. Maybe it is segregation, which is what a lot of Malcolm X was teaching. There ain't nothing wrong with segregation. They have their spot, we have our spot. You see, the wild horse, the wild slave, they are more of a free-thinking people. They're not taking the religious line, the societal line, the economic line, the religious line. They're not just going to take a hook, line, and sinker. Well, Pastor said it. Nah, the natural wild one is going to pick up the scriptures and read it for himself. That's what he's going to do. They don't want that. Oh, man, I missed somebody's comment. That's Mother Mika? Yes, they did. That's Brother Alex. Most people don't know what you just said right there. Most people do not know what you just said right there. They try to make it sound like some random guy wouldn't kill them. No, MLK got shot the minute his message started switching. That's when they assassinated him. That's when they went and got him. Malcolm X started to change his point of view from what Islam was teaching. He started to speak against the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He started speaking against that. So, long story short, the Islam worked with certain people within the CIA to get him shot, get him killed. But Malcolm, MLK, he started to change sides. I was like, wait a minute, this whole peaceful thing is getting a bunch of people getting their ass kicked. If you actually listen to the whole House Negro versus Field Negro, you'll actually hear the whole speech that Malcolm X did. You'll actually hear him clown on the Negro Coalition, the Negro Christian Coalition League, which was what MLK was part of. He even mentioned King's name in the speech and clowned on him. They don't want, the system does not want you to be wild or natural, brothers. They want you to be pacified. That's why they send that pastor up there. And that pastor sits up there and says, listen to me, everybody. Listen to me. Listen to me. That's a pacification. You should be listening to the words of Yahshua HaMashiach and what Yah said. That's what you listen to. Not some pastor comes up there and tells you, well, your words, Monamika, it's the speech that if you type in House Negro versus Field Negro, and it's a speech that Malcolm X gave, giving you the difference of the House Negro, which was the pacified, and then the Field Negro, which was the wild, natural. The House Negro always wanted what his master wanted. The Field Negro wanted freedom. The Field Negroes wanted freedom. So this whole thing is about breaking the Field Negroes to have the mindset of the House Negro. All right, let's continue. Keep the body and take the mind. Isn't that what they did with a lot of our sisters? Women, white, black, whatever. Again, I'm saying sisters. That's everyone in general. Didn't they take the mind, but they left the body out there? Oh, go ahead and take your ass out there. Give it to every other man. Don't give it to your husband. No, don't give it to your husband. Give it to Pookie. Give it to Bob. Give it to Ray Ray. Give it to Bill. Give it to them. We got your mind. So what happens is when you have that offspring, we got the offspring too because we got your mind. That's what Matrix is all about. Get the mind. Leave the body. Take the mind. Yahshua said, in his book it says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Renewing it back to what? If you're renewing the mind, that means you're bringing it back to a state. Renew. Could it possibly be that Paul's telling us to get back to our natural state, which was a love for Yah, a love for his ways? We were perverted and taught to not love his ways, so now go back to your first love, brother. Go back to your first love. Not the Christian Jeebus on that stained glass in the back of the church. We're talking about the Yahshua of the book. Go back. The Yah that gave his commandments. That one. Go back to your first love. Renew your mind and get back there. That's look what Narrow Way Pass said. Back to the original human operational manual known as the Torah. Go back there. Or, and hear me out here, we can make a cool ass intro to a video where we ride a lion. Right. And, Brother Alex, these dudes don't know what's happening. They call themselves lions from the tribe of Judah, then they watch the pastor ride a lion. That means that your pastor is just riding you. That shit sounds so gay. Y'all so-called lions from the tribe of Judah are having your pastor's penis all up in your mane. All up in your mane. Your man bun. He's just flapping all up in it. But as we said before, back to the letter. As we said before, there is an art in long-range economic planning. You must keep your eye and thoughts on the female and the offspring of the horse and the nigger. The female and the offspring, brothers and sisters. A brief discourse in offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principle. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking. Listen to this. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on future generations. They don't give a damn about the generation they're looking at. They care about if we teach one, they'll teach themselves. You'll see it. Therefore, if you break the female mother, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. And when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you, for her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. Shall we read that again? Therefore, if you break the mother, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. What does that look like, following Yeshua? You ever seen Chicago? Single mothers, dudes shooting each other. You ever seen South Central? Well, South Central LA, Watts, Compton, parts of Kansas City, Missouri, Little Rock, Arkansas, Houston, Texas, Phoenix, Arizona, Las Vegas, Nevada, Des Moines, Iowa, Tulsa, Oklahoma. You ever seen these places? There's one commonality. There's a high welfare usage, and there's usually a high percentage of homes where there's a mama and no husband. These children are being born outside of wedlock. And what happens is the mama teaches the boys. She teaches the offspring. She teaches the offspring that when the worker comes to the house, you know, that welfare worker, the Section 8 worker, to make sure there's no man there. He comes to the house. You say, yes, master. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, master. Yeah, mama been good. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Mama been real good. She will bow down, she will acquiesce, she will submit, and she will obey that Section 8 worker. But give her a husband and she will fight tooth and nail. There you look at what Gary said. Take the daddy out of the home. I'm sorry, y'all's comments are going by really fast. So if I miss you, I didn't miss you intentionally. Take the daddy out of the home and the kids turn feral. The social engineers weaponize the children. That's the plan. So you go to these areas, you go to talk to most dudes in jail. You ask them, do they have a father? Nope. Go and talk to most Hebrew men, most black men in jail. They ain't got no father in the house. Not one lick of a father in the house. What did it say? When the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you, for her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. Well, part of her original protective female tendencies was to have a what? It was to have a what? What was one of her first natural protective tendencies of a woman prior to this? She had a what? Anybody? Anybody? What did she have? Whew. Nice cold coffee. It is awesome. Let's see if somebody can put the answer in there. I know it's a little bit of a delay. She had something. Well, for the sake of the live stream, I'll answer. She had a husband. Her first line protection was her husband. By having a husband, as it says, her normal female protective tendencies were intact, because she knew by submitting to her husband, her and the children would be protected. So they removed that protective tendency, which was her protective tendency, which was the husband. In the original process, they were stripped away her trust in her husband. And by then she's exposed. And she is not equipped to take care of the child by herself. She can't. I don't hear very many stories of women protecting their children. The women become the victims, and the children become the victims too. Now, I mean, I'm sure there might be a story, but I don't know of stories where women just rose up and overthrew society violently if they needed to protect their children. And I know some of them, but well, there's this one story. I'm talking about the normality. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two nigger males in their natural state. Quietly. A pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring. Take the stud horse, break him for limited containment. Completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle. Whereas if you're listening to this, can you type in 1 in the chat, please? Because I really want you brothers and sisters to hear this. If you're listening to this, can you type in 1 in the chat? Please, can you type in 1? This struck me so hard when I was reading this. And I read this, gosh, decades ago. All right. Take the meaning. When it comes to no. For example, take the wild stud horse. Okay, completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle. Whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort. Do you see that? Women, the whole point of this whole process is to break you to the point where anybody can ride you. And yes, I want you to take that literally. They want you to be so broken that any man can hop on you and you give him a good time. He rides you in comfort. Complete and utter comfort. Not your husband. There you go, Brother Ronnie. Not your husband. No. He can't. But any other person can ride you because you're broken. You're broken, which is why you're letting everybody ride you. In comfort. Breed the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. That's what they do with Pookie and Ray Ray. Go ahead, nigga. Get out there. Go ahead and do your thing. We'll call you back when we need you again. Train the female horse, whereby she will eat out of your hand. And she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. This is slave training, brothers and sisters. These young little thugs running down the streets were trained to eat out of the master's hand, to eat out of the system's hand, because mama taught them, not mama and daddy. Mama. Mama, you know I love you. Ooh, you know I love you, mama. Ma, shut up, boys and men. Mama. Mama brought those little children to the system and taught them to eat from the scraps of Longshank's table. I know I just did a little Braveheart there. That's Sister Aspen, it does. It sets up for the vicious cycle of failure. So that when a man comes in and he dares try to break that cycle, she turns on him. Because Master's been good to her. Master don't even require her to go to work. She can just sit there and watch TV. She can just sit there and chill and kick it with her homegirls. All of them single mamas. Teaching their children to eat from the scraps of the system. Train the female horse whereby she will eat out of your hand, she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigger, use the same process, but vary in the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Take the meanest and most restless nigger. Hear that? Take the most uncontrolled one, the one that won't acquiesce to the system, the one that won't play a systems game. Take him. Take your Samsons. Take your Maccabees. Take your Mattathiases. Take your Gideons. Take your strong men who ain't saying, hey, Shep. Not that man. He's already gone. Take the ones that are restless. Take the ones that are free. Take that one. That's right, Brother Gary. Yeah, Brother Gary, that's exactly it. It is a variation of the Stockholm Syndrome. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Take the meanest and restless nigger, the most restless nigger. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers. This is what your pastors do to you, niggers. You church-going pastors. They just men of the system. Listen to this process they do. Strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, the female and the infant nigger. So take him in front of his whole family. Isn't that what your pastor does? He rebukes you in front of everybody. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a different horse in opposite directions. Set him on fire and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining niggers. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining niggers, the remaining nigger males to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he will be useful for future breeding. Do you know how important it is for them to breed a broken slave with a broken woman? Do you know how important that union is for this system? A broken, shattered man and a broken, mind-twisted woman. You have them breed, and then all you're going to get from that is offspring that is easily controlled by the system. That's why in your churches, you see your pastor, every once in a while, he'll break one of the men in the church in front of all the other men. And then he'll kind of berate the other men to let them know, you better respect me, you better honor me, you better obey me. They'll break. That's exactly it. They're showing who the top male is, Brother Ronnie. That's exactly it, my brother. Showing who the top male is. So they destroy the strongest male in front of all the other males. By destroying the strongest male, all the other males say, well, we can't fight back. And then they get their ass beat. And the woman looks at her man and says, you can't protect me. And when she says, you can't protect me, guess what happens? Guess what happens? She turns for protection. She looks to the system. She looks to the man. She can't trust her man anymore. She can't trust her husband anymore. It's the same thing that happened in the movie Crash when Terrence Howard and what was the other girl's name? Is that really she knows her name? Terrence Howard and Crash. What? Is that her name? The girl from Norbit? That's her name? Okay. Tandy Newton and Terrence Howard. That scene in the movie Crash, where the cop pulls them over because she was giving her husband a blowjob in the car. He pulls them over and he feels up. The cop has Terrence Howard put his hands on the car, and the cop feels up Tandy Newton. Feels up her titties, grabs them, grabs her ass, and kind of rubs up on her vagina. And then lets them go. And the whole time driving home, they're silent. And she's looking at her husband like, you didn't even protect me. And he's looking like, well, if I protected you, I would have been dead. You see? See that dichotomy? Break the man in front of the woman. Break the slave in front of the slave woman, and the slave woman will now be able to eat out of your hands. She will no longer trust her husband. She will no longer look to her husband as a source of protection. He's just a paycheck. He's just there to finance her. But she's not looking at him with that respect, that awe, that veneration. She's not looking at him with that this is my husband. I've done seen him do things that they said men can't do. He built his own house. He's building something for himself. No, she can't look at her husband and say that. She looks at her husband and says, you can't protect me. You can't even protect me. So why am I even here? Why are you here? And they've brainwashed the women and the men. So they teach the men, you can't protect your wife. And they teach the women, he can't protect you. So you have a continual war going on between men and women. It says the breaking process of the African woman. Then take the woman and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desire willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor in good economics. Let me listen to this. You are the most important factor. Not because you're going to do the work, but you're going to bring forth children that are broken and they'll do the work. You see what I'm saying? Our prison system, I saw one of the brothers put up here earlier, our prison system is full of men who don't have a father. Those men are free labor. Who raised those men? And I'm not speaking against you. I'm trying to let you know this is how the system is using you. This is why I tell y'all, get under a strong man. Get under one. You see a wild, as the Willie Lynch says, if you see a wild, uncivilized, natural nigger, that's who you should be with. Why are you trying to find one that's already controlled? Why what the man already controlled for? The only thing that's going to happen is a controlled system, or as Sister Lovely Donna said, a controlled cycle of controlled men. You're going to raise up your sons to submit to the system. They will. Now, they're going to go and get. You see why you're so important, sisters? You see why you're so important? You are important because you are bringing forth these children. But they want you to bring forth these children without the man that's going to teach them these things. Brother Ryan said, I worked in a prison system. This is true. He did work in a prison system. Palmetto said, my wife called me a feral man for years. They called me wild. Like, they said, Master, you wild. Like, the only person who could possibly control you was God. You might even say I'm uncivilized too. You might just say that. If she shows any sign, this woman shows any sign of resistance, submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of bitch out of her. And if you think that I'm making that up, Extract the last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This is. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economics. You women are economic tools for the system. Why do you think there's child support? Why do you think that women get it? Why do you think they award you, sisters, the children? Because it's the Willie Lynch freaking syndrome. It's the Willie Lynch plan being worked. They have to give you the children so you train them. And when you train them to be good slaves, they're going to go out and perpetuate the same cycle. Now the master, now the slave master, now the system can keep a hands-off process. They can say, hey, I don't have to touch this anymore. We didn't do it. Then they can turn around and say, see, all y'all in those inner cities in Chicago, y'all are wild and crazy. All that weave and all that. They can do that now. They can play y'all. They created you to be a monster and destroy the future generations, and then they turn around and blame you. They blame you for it. And then they blame the man. See, and then the women say, see, these men don't want to raise their children. Now, I know some men who didn't want to raise their children at all. But most men that I know, they didn't they didn't give up on their children. The women literally stole the children from them. These men were fighting for their children. They wanted custody of their children. They could not get custody of their children. I'm one of them. Lost 3, couldn't get custody of them. And what happened? It looks like all 3 of them, including one of them is a boy, son. They all turned into he, she, theys. They all turned into these transgender. All 3 of them. They were being raised in the faith. Co-parenting, me and the mother. And what happened? She used the system to take my children. And now those children are perpetuating the same systemic cycle of destruction. They've been trained. Take care not to kill her, and doing so you spoil good economic. When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. They will be trained by their mother to be good slaves. Why do you think it is you see women today? I'm scared to send my son out there in the streets. They were trained. They were trained. There's no father. You got all the, in this case, I'm specifically speaking to the culture of people that look like me. You see so many children. They said 70 to 80% of Black children are born outside of a father-mother home, where there's a father and a mother in the home. 80%. Now the numbers in the white community is raising, where more and more white children are being raised without a father in the home. And what are you seeing? They're running the violence. They're running the drugs. They're running. You can't. I would submit this. If these young boys, Black and white, were being raised in families where there was a father and a mother, a strong man, and a loving, submissive woman, you would see these wild-ass, crazy-ass shootings in schools decrease. Understanding is the best thing. You see, he even knows understanding is the best thing. Most of you don't have understanding because you never asked the question why. Why? The question why brings forth understanding. Because if I asked you, why are you doing what you're doing? Hey, sis. Hey, sister. Hey, I just have a question. Why are you single? And what you might start, when you start speaking, what you might start hearing is that you've been trained to distrust men because your father was abusive. Or maybe you're, you know somebody that got left by their man. You might hear that story out of it. But if you don't ask the question why, you're never going to know. You're never going to have an understanding of what's truly going on inside of you. If I ask you the question and you can articulate why, we can address the problem. And the problem isn't what you'll find out a lot of these other things that you think it is. You may have just had a traumatic experience. That doesn't mean that every single man is like that, just like because I see women shaking their head and taking their men to child support or the court does not mean that every black woman's like that. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in the breaking process of the female nigger. Remember, the female's the most important part. You have to break her. By breaking her, you break this child. By breaking the woman and the child. As for my people, what does it say? As for my people, children are their oppressors and women rule over them. In this war that they are fighting with us, sisters, if you actually got back onto the side of the men, got back under the covering, do you know that this thing, while we will never win it until the Father comes again, until Yeshua comes again, that man, can you imagine if every sister, I want y'all to imagine this beautiful thought, brothers and sisters. Imagine every woman that left her husband, that has not joined with another man, and had not known another man since she left her husband. Can you imagine if they all went back to their husband? How many homes do you think would be restored if these women said, you know what, to hell with this systemic thought that I'm supposed to leave my man, even though the Bible says that I'm in sin if I do, I'm still going to do it. Can you imagine if these women said, you know what, babe, I'm sorry I took your children from you. I am here humbly. I want to be in your life. I messed up. And that you might find out that husband might say, no. You didn't mess up. We messed up. I was just talking to sisters about that earlier. I was talking to Tanisha, and she was telling me the woman that took my children and left, if she had not have gone out and gotten remarried and had not known man, she said, I would have looked her up and told her, asked her, damn near begged for her to come back into your home. I would have begged for her to come back. Bring him his children back. You come back. We're going to share this house and we're going to rock it out. Why? You've got to ask yourself the question, why? You've got to start thinking, brothers and sisters, and stop emoting. They're preying on your emotions. Those that are running this system are preying on you to be emotional, to be illogical. House Lamar right. That's what I said. I was like, what? She said, I would have loved for her to be back in this home if it meant reuniting the children. And hey, she was already with you. Let's continue. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area. We have produced here in the breaking process of the female nigger. We have reversed relationships. They're telling you what they're doing. We have reversed relationships. In her natural, uncivilized state, she would have had a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male. So the woman in her natural state would have a reliance on the male. You see, we read that verse in Romans where it says the woman's losing the natural use of the man. She doesn't, and people immediately run to specifically lesbianism. Well, I will go way further than that. I will say the woman stops relying on the man. She starts relying on other things outside the man. The natural state of a woman was to be relying on her husband. But Christianity comes in and tells us, oh, no, that verse means homosexuality, because in the men's version, it talks about homosexuality. What do we see more? Are we seeing more lesbians, or are we seeing more unsubmitted women? Are we seeing more lesbians, or are we seeing more women who take the authority of a man? That's got nothing to do with lesbianism. Women who are taking on the authority of a man is far more impactful to our homes than lesbianism. But everybody runs to that because that's what you were learning in Christianity. Oh, it means, yeah. The women are just running around being lesbians. Or does it mean that women are no longer being submitted to their husbands, but instead taking on the authority of their husbands? Again, in her natural uncivilized state, she would have had a strong dependence on the uncivilized nigger male. And she would have a limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring, and would raise the female offspring to be dependent like her. Nature had provided time with this balance. You see, they raised their daughters to be just like them. You see this. Do you see this in today's society? You see women who treat their daughters like they're their best friend. Mama and daughter are going to the club together. They treat their sons like it's their husband. They have Father's Day cards for mothers. We reversed nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. They literally reversed nature by destroying her right in front of her face. By her being left alone. Listen, sisters, see, you think I'm making this shit up when I say you should be covered. You think that I'm making this shit up. You think that I'm just saying these things. You think that I'm just speaking out of my ass because I don't like women. I wouldn't have 3 if I didn't love them. I love all of my sisters. That's why I tell y'all to get covered. I tell y'all to get a husband. Listen to what Willie Lynch said here. Not my words. His words on how do you make a female slave to the system. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen, independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. How do you feel knowing that you're being played by somebody who thought this shit up in the year 1712, or at least he wrote it down in the year 1712? You think you're so smart, you're being played by a person who wrote this shit 300 years ago, and it's still working as if he's right here today, instituting all this. So in your alone, and we're just so smart. You're so smart, you're losing to a man who's been dead for Lord knows how long, who wrote a letter 300 years. You're so smart, you're getting an ass kicked by him. All those degrees must not mean shit because you're losing to a man who wrote this 300 years ago. A slave owner, a man who hated you, wrote this 300 years ago. And you're still losing today. Let me read that again, sisters. In her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed. Is that not what we have today? The ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. It's got you so bad. Y'all got singers talking about independent women. Y'all got it so bad that y'all idolize and worship singers that sing about being an independent woman, and then you had the nerve to say, well, I can't stand the white man. When, hey, the white brothers are saying the same thing about their white sisters. They're white wives. It's a systemic thing now. They're making slaves out of everybody. They don't give a damn what color you are. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reverse roles. Could that possibly be a reason why we have little boys today that want to be little girls and little girls today that want to be little boys? Could that possibly be why we have this whole transgender movement? Could that be any part of a facilitator in that? Because I know for a fact that my children weren't talking about the ones that I had that are no longer here. They weren't talking about, my daughters weren't talking about wanting to be no boy until they left with their mama. My son wasn't talking about wanting to suck on Tootsie Rolls until he was with his mama. My daughter didn't turn into a he, she, they until she was with her mama, because there ain't no goddamn way that would have happened with me. Not one. I said I ain't gonna cuss. Woo. Let me sip on this coffee real quick. There ain't no way that would have happened if they were in my care. There ain't no way that shit would have happened. They would have been serving Yah and keeping the commandments. They would have been, my daughter, I have I think a 19-year-old daughter right now. She'd be getting married right now to a righteous man, not trying to be no girlfriend. My son would be in a position to inherit and take over what I'm building. Instead, he wants Tootsie Roll Pop. For fear of the young man's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. And I'm speaking about the Tootsie Roll Pop because it's very hurtful for me to see when I was actually part of his Facebook, some of the comments that he was saying. To see him run around with orange and red hair, my son, run around with red hair. I didn't raise him that way. He was going to be strong. And he still has it to be strong. But he needs his father. My daughters have it in them to be righteous and holy. But they need their father. And that was taken from them by a woman going to the system. So today you see our young men are taught to be gangsters, right? They're taught to hold a gun. They're taught to shoot at people, right? Palmetto. Well, you know, you see, well, when I had hair, you can see my beard. You can kind of get an idea what color my hair is. But, you know, having it's so hurtful to me because that's not how my children are. And I don't want to talk about that part anymore. That's just not them. That's just not them. I mean, it is them because it is, but how many of our children today would be safe if mama decided to stay with father? If mama stopped saying, I'm not happy, I'm leaving, taking the children because I ain't happy. How many of our children would be raised in homes with love? Thank you, Palmetto. It's not them. It's the external programming. Thank you, brother. So my children never hear this. I understand. Your father is still here. I know it's not you, it's the program. I'm still here. All you gotta do is reach out. I'm still here. So we see in today's society, we see a lot of effeminized young boys that are extremely emotional. What did he say? They train them to be psychologically, mentally weak, and dependent. but physically strong. That makes a good slave. It makes a good slave to train or for a young man to be willing to pull a trigger at the drop of a dime to kill somebody else. Ebony, you gas in it? No. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent. What have you got? You've got the nigger woman out in front and the man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep and economics. They essentially reverse the role. The woman's out in front now. She's strong and independent. Isn't that what we hear about music today? Strong and independent women. Ebony. And then you have the man in the background. He's scared. He's scared of everything and everybody. Before the breaking process, Brother Darrell, I sure hope he does. Brother, that would be, whew. That would be. And I thank the Father for the ones I have right now. I thank the Father for my sons and my daughters right now. But I would love the restoration of all of my seed back to me, because it is my seed. That's exactly it. Broken, but can still work, Brother Ryan. That's exactly it. You break them, you can throw them in prison, and now they can make, serve the prison industrial complex and make money for the prison industrial complex for pennies on the dollar. They can work. They can lift weights. They can be strong and big, but their minds are broken. Willie Lynch don't give a damn. In fact, he would prefer the man to be big, strong, but psychologically broken. That's what Willie Lynch wants. Before the breaking process, we had to alert. We had to be alert, on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly. For out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. Do you see what I'm saying, sisters? The system has turned you into their guard dogs. They're calling you a dog. You're now the system's guard dogs. Your job is to police and to make sure you see any uncivilized wild niggers running around here. Your job is to go tell the man. Go tell the man when you see a man start speaking about running. When you hear the word Underground Railroad, you better go tell that man. They've turned you into their dog. They can ride you when they want to. They'll bring you into the house. They might give you the bag. They might do all this stuff. But understand, they're using you. I can't tell you how many, how many women I have heard. The white man this and the white man that and the white man, white man, white man, white man, white man. And I'm like, well, you do understand it's not white men who are doing this, because they're also saying the same things about their wives, their women. So it's not a white man, black man. But let's just say, okay, I'll humor you. The white man's doing this. What are you doing about it? Because you just put your husband on, or your baby daddy on child support. You just left him and put him on child support. And you took his children. But then you said the white man did. The white man didn't do it. That was you. The white man didn't go and take his child from him. You went to the so-called, what you call white man, and you used them to take that child away from him, and then said the white man did it. Then when a white cop kills a black boy, you went up and down the street, the white man this, the white man that. Stop it. First of all, again, my white brothers and sisters, my Hispanic brothers and sisters, my Brazilian brothers, they all have the same report. It sounds like it's a woman thing. The system is using the women, regardless of color. Like I said, our brother Palmetto Paratrooper, who's extremely white, he might actually be closer to clear than he is white. He just said he went through the same thing. He's white. I thought it was the white man that was doing this. No, it's a system that's doing it. A system created. Before the breaking process was to be guarded at all times, we can now sleep soundly. For out of frozen fear, his woman. You see that in churches today, where the pastor will try to get the woman. But you're still my brother. And that's what matters to me, my brother. You see the pastor who, if that husband starts saying, you know what, babe, let's go home and read the book for ourselves. I'm telling pastor, I'm going to be a good guard dog. A good guard dog. She's already standing damn near in the gates of adultery by doing that. She's supposed to not be standing guard to make sure you stay in line with the pastor or with the system. She's supposed to be focused on submitting and focus on your vision, brother. That's exactly it, Brother Gary. They started doing this to blacks and First Nations people first. Now they are doing it to everyone. It's almost like they tested to see. It's like their agenda was always to get everybody. But they're like, you know what? Let's test it on them first. Let's see if it works. Now that we know it works, let's get everybody. Now we can institute it and get everybody. That's what Pharaoh did in the time of Egypt. He didn't just enslave the Hebrews. Egypt was taking in everybody that they could possibly get. That's right, Brother Ronnie. Pastor doing marriage counseling. Everybody wants to want to go and get pastor's counseling. All the pastor's doing is taking all that information that he's hearing from the wife. Because usually when you have counseling, you have the man who's like, I don't even want to be here. We can work this shit out at home. All you have to do is submit to what I'm saying, and this shit will be worked out. And the woman's like, nah, we need counseling. So, of course, she goes there and she's ready to spew out everything that she possibly thinks is going wrong, and the pastor takes her side 95% of the time. Then what happened? Pastor, the brother's like, I don't know why I'm here. You know, I'm not even coming to this church anymore. I'm going to read for myself. Then she runs to pastor. Pastor, see, you know he wrong. Because now he ain't trying to let me go and serve the Lord. He won't let me come to church and serve the Lord. And pastor's like, yeah, that man's wicked, right? That's what pastor does, right? Pastor says, yeah, that man's wicked. You should leave him. Then she leaves, and before she knows it, before her brother knows it, he's watching a video, and there's his wife calling Pastor Master. Oh, Hasselbar said it. That's exactly it. That pastor is just another wedge. That pastor is part of them. That pastor's part of they. Part of they. My first question, why? He told me to shut up. Okay, why? Sister Mona Mika, my email address is in the description of all of my normal videos. It's Ebony. Can you put my email address in the chat? If you go to the description of all of my videos, you'll see it's following Yeshua, but it's spelled as there's an underscore and everything. Can you put my email address in the chat? You know how to spell it, right? Okay. It's about what I'm talking about now? Yes, ma'am. Absolutely, yes, ma'am. Absolutely. There are camps out there that don't count betrothals as marriage, which is absolute bullshit because the law absolutely says that a woman who's betrothed needs a divorce. She belongs to that man. That's because a lot of these camps don't understand what the betrothal period was for. The betrothal period was for everybody to close out any of their personal affairs. Can you have Tanisha come and plug this cord into another cord because it's not charged? I thought at all. Only 15%. Now we can, okay, I'm not sure if it's the black cord with an outlet hooked up to. If it's hooked up to the wrong outlet, can you unplug the light? No, unplug that. And now unplug the light, this light, and plug the black cord there. And then plug the light into the, there, yeah, that was it. And then turn the light on, please. Thank you kindly, dear. Okay. He cannot get past her. Sorry. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her infant slave process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time the nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for life's sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good forced labor. So, Sister Monamika, there's the email address right there. Sister Abby the Rock. So by the time that boy turns 16, that boy's broken. And he's going to be used for reproduction. That's why you see little boys right now, 16, 17, 18 years old, they're daddies already. They just found they have a penis and they're already a daddy. They just found out how to use it. Outside of Jergens cherry scented lotion and a bra and panty magazine, they just found out how to use it and they're already a daddy. It's all about the creation of forced labor. This letter is open for everybody to read. And how many people are going to read this and still not take it serious? They're still going to say, yeah, but. No, there is no but. They telegraphed what they were going to do. They telegraphed it. And you are still so broken in the mind and powerless to change it. This shit, when I read it, pissed me off. Maybe it's because I'm a wild, uncivilized nigger, according to them. Maybe that's why. Maybe we need some more wild, uncivilized niggers. Instead of prim, proper, civilized, cultured, and controlled. And I don't care what color you are. When I say that, I mean that as irregardless of color. Maybe we need some more wild, crazy, uncivilized, instead of the ones that are allowing the system to continually ride your wife. Continually, though the breaking of the uncivilized savage niggers by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, by killing the protective male image, by creating a submissive, dependent mind of the nigger male savage, we have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the female savages. Somebody has to come in and call out the bullshit so that there could be a reshaping. There has to be a reshaping. We have brothers that are trying to reshape this shit. When a brother, instead of looking at a brother that says, hey, I'm opening up my house for another wife, I don't see that as, he just wants pussy. I'm like, that's a brother that's trying to reshape it. If he's a righteous brother, if he's doing what the Father sent him to do, if he's got a vision, if he's moving it. I'm not talking about that nigga that just wants more pussy. Not that. I'm talking about the brother that's moving in his vision. He's clearly moving in a vision away from the system, not to the system. He's separating. What do you think the Bible means when it comes? Come out of her. If you start coming out of her, be ye separate. Touch not the unclean thing, and he will receive. If you're doing that, you're going to start becoming a little bit uncivilized. Brother Gary, absolutely. We need more uncivilized men. That brother who says, hey, my house is open. The reason why I applaud those brothers and I shout them out on my stream is because we don't have enough uncivilized ones. Everybody wants to be civilized. They want to be cultured. They want to be prim and proper. Nah, I'm completely content being wild and uncivilized. I'm completely content living out here. I'm completely content saying, hey, I have a family full of children, 3 wives, 10 children, and I want to have 20 children. Oh, that's so uncivilized. In today's culture, we have 3 at the most children. You know, your boy, your girl, your white picket fence, your house, your debt. You know, your debt is more debt. Hey, doesn't the Bible say the rich wolf over the poor and a borrower is a servant to a lender? The off-grid trucker, Shabbat Shalom. Palmetto, that's because a lot of those sisters today are in that psychological frozen state. They're frozen. They're like, oh shit. What? We live in a civilized culture. We live in a we're civilized. Oh, I'm civil. I know how to talk and I know how to walk in the store and get my stuff and walk out. But I realize that even having a lot of conversations with people don't understand it. You tell them, I'm off grid. Huh? Why? I just don't like the idea of someone being able to turn off and on. Yes, like you flip those tables over, right? I just don't like the idea of somebody I like the idea of growing my own food. That makes me uncivilized. Why would you go out there and grow your own food for? You just go to the store. That's what everybody else does. I don't want to do that. I believe in trying to use herbs. Natural healing. Why would you do that for? Just go to the doctor. I believe in home birth. Just go to the doctor. He's so uncivilized. All those people are so uncivilized. They homeschool their children. They cook their own food. They make their own soap. I kind of see that as my version of the Underground Railroad, getting away, breaking free. I think it's absolutely crazy to continue to eat food that you don't know what they put in there. You can't pronounce the words, but you're eating it. You're putting shit on your body that they tell you is killing you. They put aluminum in your deodorant, and they tell you that aluminum can help cause cancer. And you put aluminum on you. No questions asked. Then you're surprised when you find out when you're 45 years old that you got cancer. You find out that all these things that you killed yourself with are still there. And I know it's a process of breaking free from the system, but damn it, if you are an uncivilized, non-cultured, non-Willie Lynch controlled person, then you should not be looking to slavery. You should be looking to break free from slavery. You should be looking to break free from the chains. And if you are a sister, and you see a man that's breaking free from the chains, you should want to cleave onto that brother. He's got 2 wives. Well, aren't you uncivilized? Or are you controlled? What do you mean? If that brother wants a third, that brother might likely have a plan you can't foresee. He might just have a plan that you can't see. Be thankful for your uncivilized brother, because you're reading in this letter that the whole point was to break. And when they break you, they can run you. When they break you, they can hop on top of your wife and ride her in comfort. I didn't say it, he did. When you look at the men of the Bible, ask yourself the question, were they broken, civilized men? Why do you think it is that the Egyptians looked at the Israelites, at the Hebrew people, and hated them? Because they were shepherds, because they had their own sheep, because they didn't depend on Egypt. Now, obviously, there's a certain level of dependence that we all kind of have. You know, we go to the store still. You know, in order for me to make soap, I have to go and, I have to go buy the oil from the store. I do have to do that. But you know how much power there is in knowing that you know what's actually going into your soap because you bought the oil, you bought the shea butter, you bought the cocoa butter in 25-pound blocks. You bought the lye, whatever else she uses. You know, she has made me some soap recently. You know, You should be thankful as a sister that he's uncivilized, that he's not controlled, he's not broken. Do you know how much breaking it takes to get a man to sit in the mirror and primp and prop his face to make sure every hair is in point like a woman would? You know how much breaking it is to do that? That's right, House of Lamar. They call our laws and y'all barbaric. That's why they change the skin tone and brainwashes. That's absolutely it, brother. They say things like, a field hand or why would a man want all that? What are you going to do with 3 women? Well, I'm doing a lot right now. I'm doing a lot more than I was able to do with 1. I have a vision. Man, Brother Daryl, I was just telling them that in this house, and I wasn't even born. I wasn't born in the 60s or the 70s. I was born in the early 80s. But but my mom was, and my mom was a Black Panther. And and when she got broken, she used to stand by my father before he left. Now, that was my father's fault. Not my mom's fault, my father's fault. And when he left, she got broken by society. But many of the Black women back in the 60s stood by their men until the feminist movement came along. Absolutely right. Told the woman, the Black woman, take off your bra. Be strong. And they did. And what happened? Since then, I mean, we live in a society now where marriage rates are declining fast. Again, it's all economics. Let's continue. We show that what we mean by example. Take the case of 2 economic slave units and examine them closely. So you have to understand that in this system, you're just considered an economic slave unit. Sometimes they call you, there's different terms that they use it on. But you're basically an economic, you make the system run. That's why they have you in that cycle, that orbiting cycle. You get paid, you get taxed. You spend the money, you get taxed. You buy a bunch of shit you don't need. You buy a bunch of shit trying to impress a bunch of people who don't matter. You get in debt, borrow as a servant to the lender. You stay in perpetual slavery, and then you die. That's your life. The life of a slave. You never did. Now they're telling you you're going to own nothing and be happy. Well, if you don't own nothing, that sounds to me like you're a slave. They're telling you you ain't going to own shit and you're still going to smile. If that's not a psychological breaking, I don't know what is. And they moved and herded everybody into these metropolitan centers called cities, which I call reservations. And you're always chasing. You're always trying to buy a faster, more pretty car, right? So you can impress somebody. They got you brothers running around getting a massive amounts of debt to try and impress a woman. You're trying to impress a civilized slave. So in order to do that, they have to civilize you. Because the only way to impress a civilized slave is to have a civilized man. A civilized broken man to chase a civilized broken woman. Well, I'll just remain uncivilized. If that means that women don't like me, if that means that men don't like me, whatever it means is what it is. But I'd rather be on the outside than to be one of those tribes that went in and helped build Pitham and Ramsey and found themselves in slavery. What did he say? You breed 2 nigger males and 2 nigger females. Then we're going to end this. We're going to end this in probably the next 15, 20 minutes. And then if I have to do a part 2, I will. If y'all want a part 2, we can do a part 2 because I can keep going on this for probably another 2 or 3 hours. Then we take the nigger males from them. Keep them moving and working. Say the one nigger female bears a nigger female, and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females being without the influence of the nigger male image, froze with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her through her, by her, and negotiate at her will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. And you see a lot of body over mind dudes. You see a lot of weak ass dudes in the mind who got big, strong bodies. You see a lot of broken dudes. That's what do you think these churches do? They stick a rifle in your hand. They tell you you are a man of Yah. Here's your gun. Let's go do a bunch of push-ups. Let's lift a bunch of weights. But every one of them niggas is weak. Every one of them cats is weak. Because you have to be weak in order to let a man play you out like that. And then to stay there. Those men that come out of that mess, those are the strong ones. The ones who say, the hell with this shit. Those are the strong ones. The church will label them the rebellious ones, the wicked ones. Those are the strong ones. Let's ask a question. Look at Yeshua. Look at how he walked and how he lived. Would you say he was a civilized slave? Or would you say he was uncivilized according to the culture at the time? Which one was Yeshua, everybody? Which one? Yeah, they'll shoot for Shep. They'll put it down for Shep. Everything for Shep. Yeah, strong enough to do Shep's push-ups. Come on now, was Yeshua a civilized, societal norm person? Or would Yeshua fit? You know, he did go against the religious system at the time. That seemed to be really civilized, prim and proper with all their man-made rules. Maybe there's a huge delay. I'm waiting for an answer. I want to know what y'all think. Who was Yeshua and what would he have been? Right. Shep got all the money and owns all the land. And you don't see us as a system. That's right, Sister Aspen. Yeshua was hated. He was hated. Yeah, Mona Mika, there are men who are part of ministries that call their pastor their shepherd. They literally call him Shep, shepherd for short. That's right, Palmetto. He went against the religious system more overtly than he did the worldly government. And in fact, during that time, you can make an argument that the religious system seemed to have a bit more power than the worldly system did. That's right. Daryl Vick said uncivilized. He would have been called rebellious by a lot of the camps too. He rebuked a lot of men that was older than him. That's the funny thing. House of Lamar, you are absolutely right. I mean, I guarantee you the elders and the Pharisees and the scribes sat back many times and said, you know, he shouldn't rebuke us. You know, who the hell do you think he is? In fact, they basically said that. He was considered uncivilized by them. An outlaw. Somebody who was damnable. Right. He was flipping tables over in the temple. These are broke. Yeshua was not a broken man. He knew he had the power to call a whole squadron of angels down and to whoop some ass. He knew he could have did it. He told Peter that. I can call a whole squad of angels down here. He knew the power he had and didn't use it. That's right. He would have also been labeled a troublemaker and a rabble rouser. Absolutely. Let's continue. So Yeshua was not body over mind. He was mind and body. I for one, do not think that Yeshua was no weak ass man. I think Yeshua was ripped, to be honest. He was a carpenter. The dude walked everywhere. I mean, if you actually look at the anatomy of him hanging on a tree for as long as he did, you got to be pretty ripped. I'm just saying, for those anatomy and physiology people. That's right. Real talk. Yeshua was an uncivilized man that went and spoke against the word, spoke the word against the man with no fear. He went with no fear and spoke what needed to be spoken against the system. So much so that the system wanted to kill him. We're going to read a little bit more. Now, in a few years, when these offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. That is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. They are looking long-range. You're looking short-term. We should take this letter, and this letter should mean so much to us that it changes us. It should hurt any sister that has been used by this system. If you've been used like a guard dog to guard your man, to guard your husband, you should be offended. You should be angry. You should want to get back. I'm not talking about no stupid, terroristic stuff. I'm talking about, how do you get back? How do you hit back? Hey, babe, I repent. Where are we going? What do you want? I submit myself to you. Do you know how hard it is for a man to watch his woman submit herself to a system, but then when it comes to him, argue with him? Sisters, you should be going back to your husband. If you left him, go back. Go back. You're fighting the wrong person. You're fighting the enemy that they convinced you to fight. Just like a lot of you campites, a lot of you ministryites, you think you're fighting me. I'm not your enemy. I'm telling you what you need to do to break away from the system, so that you can go be the uncivilized man, the man that was supposed to be civilized. The only civilization you should understand is what the book is telling. That's what I'm telling you to go and submit yourselves to, not me. I don't want your submission. I don't deserve it. I'm not Yeshua. I'm not Yah. You don't keep my commandments. You better not be keeping my commandments. My commands are for my household. You should go to the Father and ask him where he wants you to go. Otherwise, you're just a servant. And if you're just a servant, shut up. So you're hearing how slaves are treated, right? You don't have a right to speak against a free man. Go be a good slave. I am a servant to the Most High Yah, and I submit myself to my brothers, and they submit themselves to me in the love of Messiah, in the law of Yah. I don't submit myself as I'm broken to you, I'm your slave, and they don't submit to me that way. That's right. Even in a loose camp where everyone owns their own shit, you find men putting other men on a pedestal. Absolutely. There's for some reason, there's still this incessant need to prop somebody up. And Yah's trying to lift you up. Doesn't the Bible say, humble yourself in the sight of Yah, and he will lift you up? So why are you trying to lift everybody else up? Why don't you just let Yah lift you up? They are thinking long term. You're thinking short term. You people say, I'm kingdom minded. How are you kingdom minded when you are still thinking about today? You're thinking about your immediate happiness. When your happiness will be long term if you align yourself up with what Yah has. And Yah thinks long term. A little bit more. Here's a warning, possible interloping negatives. So he actually covered the positives and the negatives of his process. Earlier, we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in their wild natural state. We talked out the principle of breaking and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore, we're talking about paying particular attention to the nigger female savage and her offspring, orderly future planning. Then, more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and female savages, we had created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever. You see that? It'll turn by itself forever. When the Satan Hasatan comes in your home and throws off the order, it's always going to be a cycle. It's going to be a never-ending orbital cycle. It's going to repeat itself until somebody breaks it. When usually that somebody, the man steps up and says, "I'm gonna take over being the man of this household," and when that cycle happens, the woman usually leaves. But as long as the man's a pussy and the woman's a head, that cycle keeps going, and there's order in the house. I mean, it's a wicked order, but there's order in the house. It turns on its axis forever until this phenomenon occurred and reshifted the positions of the male and female savages. Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring, for they say the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time. If it can touch a substantial, original, historical base, and they advised us that the best way to deal with this phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomena of illusions, and each illusion can twirl in its own orbit, something similar to floating balls in a vacuum. So you see the process there? You see what they're saying? History is always going to come up, and when a person gets in touch with their history, they're going to ask questions and want to break forth. That's why I said you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why are you doing this, brother? Sister, why are you doing this? Why? The Bible says, seek for the old paths where you will find rest for your soul. The old, the historical basis, the history, our history, the book. That is how you break the cycle. Whenever we get in touch back with the history, wives, submit to your husband. Husbands, love your wives, nurture them, cherish them. Wives, reverence your husbands. Wives, if any be not obedient to word, you ain't gonna know what they're talking. Let it be your chaste living, your chaste behavior, coupled with fear. When you get back to that, this breaks any cycle that there could ever possibly be. This, the book of Yah, his law. Women, if you make a vow, your husband can go and break it. This breaks. See, now when that woman understands it and sees her husband, it's like, ooh, damn, baby. You got that power? Yeah, you know what I'm saying. Yah gave it to me. You know what I'm saying? I have the authority to break. I have the authority to break your foolish vow. I do. He didn't even take that vow, that power for himself. Yah gave me that power. He gave the father the power, then he gave the husband the power. But if there is no father and husband, everything you say, you're bound. Woo! That's kind of sexy that my man, you know what I'm saying? That's just that dominion side of me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, I'm not going to use that to abuse, you know what I'm saying? But it is nice to know that I can save you from yourself. It is nice to know that he gave me this book and I'm supposed to wash you with it. You ready for a good washing, baby? Here, let me get your back. Let me get your back, baby. I'm about to wash that bullshit off you. I'm going to wash that world off you. And then I'm going to take the world off of you, but I'm going to put me in you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure you know what I'm saying. You want some of me? See, that's what these husbands are trying to tell y'all. When you look at your husband, that's what he's saying to you. That's what he's saying to you. He's looking at you and saying that. Your husband, when he opens up this Bible, he's saying, I'm going to wash you by the water of the word. And then, baby, I'm about to, the Bible says plow your own field and put your own seed in the field and trust in your own stock. So your husband's about to plow his field, put his own seed inside of you. And you're looking at him like he's weak. brother Ryan, that's the absolute truth. They don't. For you sisters watching this after the stream, I want you to really pay attention to what I'm being said. And brothers, this is for you too, because you see the whole point is to destroy you. And some of y'all you've been raised very emotional, and you understand why it is that you're acting the way you are. You're understanding why you're acting the way you are. Are you going to continue to keep acting that way now? Or are you going to break free from that? They want you broken. And the point of breaking you is so they can have free access to your wife. Is your church demeaning you, breaking you, brother? Is there anybody in your life that's trying to break you so they can get access to your woman, to your wife, to your rib, to who you are charged with washing? That's why I said last week, ain't got no shame in it. The Bible says that you're supposed to be washing your wife by the water of the word. Then shouldn't she, when she gets baptized, shouldn't you be the one doing it, brother? This creation of a multiplicity of phenomenon illusions entails the principles of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, as we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, thereby creating different levels of labor and different values of illusions at each connecting level of labor, the results of which is the severance of the points of original beginnings for the sphere illusion. So they're trying to separate you from the beginning. They're trying to separate you from the knowledge of yourself. They're trying to separate you from the old paths. The old path. Since we feel that the subject matter may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reasons, and effect of crossbreeding horses and niggers, we shall lay down the following the definitional terms for future generation. Orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given path. Axis means upon which or about which a body turns. Phenomenon means something beyond ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. Multiplicity means a great number, and sphere means a globe. Crossbreeding niggers means taking as many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible. Now, let's take out the racial context of this. Take out the racial context. How about this? Crossbreeding niggers means taking as many drops of the system and putting them into as many nigger women as possible. Varying the drops by varying tones or how about varying characteristics of the woman that you want. And then letting them breed with each other until circle of colors appear as you desire. So what they do is they input the system, drops of the system in the woman, and then they let the woman go back and breed with the nigger male. And they keep doing that until they get different colors. And then you pit the colors against each other. You see how they do it? What this means is this: put the niggers and the horse in a breeding pot, mix some asses and some good white blood, and what do you get? They have good white blood. Mix in some of the system, and what do you get? You got a multiplicity of colors, ass backwards, usually or unusual niggers running tied to backward ass long-headed mules. The production of itself, the other sterile. See, their plan, you have to understand your adversary. Bible says, you have to understand who your adversary is. You have to understand what this system is trying to do to you. If you don't understand it, you're going to keep the cycle, the orbit going. You have to understand that every time they institute a little bit of themselves in our women, this is why it's so important for you fathers to keep your children out of the system as much as you possibly can. They keep dropping a little bit of themselves into the women. They're not targeting the men. Remember, the point is the women. They pour a little bit of themselves, the system does, into the women, and then they push the women back to the men. The men take the women, have children with those women. And now that child that comes out of that relationship is going to be taught by a woman who has a little bit of the world in them and you, right? Eventually, what's going to happen is that woman is going to go back to her programming, and she's going to break away from you and bring the child literally as a sacrifice back to the system and sacrifice her child at the altar of the system. And now that child's going to prison, or that child's killing somebody, or that child is committing some sort of crime. They're running up in the stores like you see today and jacking shit. You got mobs of young black 13, 14, 15, 16-year-old boys and girls running up in the Dolce & Gabbana stores, jacking shit, running up in the jewelry stores, jacking shit, running up in all these places and jacking shit. How do you think you got that? How do you think you have a mob, not one or two, examples? You have mobs in every one of these metropolitan areas doing the exact same shit. How do you get that systemically? You get it systemically by these sort of teachings, by this sort of forward planning. Well, if they're planning that much, then we have to also be, as Yah's people, white, black, regardless of color, we have to equally be planning and understand the workings of our enemy. You better understand war. Right. It all boils down to the pride of woman. Palmetto, that's what they're going after. They're going after the woman. They're going after you, sisters. The same way the serpent went after Eve. The system is going after you. Hallelujah, Jay Morris. 7 years. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. We'll end it there because there's a lot more that I have to. There's probably like 30 more slides I have to. So we'll stop there. The next section we'll talk about is how they control the language. All of this is about making a slave. This is irregardless of color. Once again, let me make sure I specify this. While the Willie Lynch letters were written for the white slave masters to control slaves, all of us are now in the position of being slaves. All of us are slaves to the system. The system took this letter and said, shit, this thing is magical. Let's use it on everybody. So you, my brother, white, you're in the same boat now. Grab an oar. Let's row. And sisters, I am not speaking to this to you out of hate or derision or anger. I'm speaking this because I care for you. But you don't understand how the system is targeting you to use you against your husband. They're using you against your husband to break apart the family. And the whole goal of breaking apart the family is to control your offspring or his offspring. They want to control. You remember, they said they don't even care about the current generation they're telling. They're caring about what's going to happen generationally. And if you look at today's society, generationally, are we getting better? Answer this question. Are we getting better or are we getting worse? Palmetto. You're either going to be part of the solution or you're going to continue to be part of the problem. While you tell yourself you're not part of the problem. The decision is yours. But remember this. Revelation chapter 22, verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, my reward is with me to give to every man according as his work shall be. You are being told what is happening. What is your work going to be from this point on? Because remember, if you say you love Yah, you will be judged by what you do. And you can no longer plead ignorance because you're now finding out. Bless y'all. Have a blessed, blessed, blessed Shabbat. It's an honor to be able to fellowship with y'all. It is an honor to have this time with y'all. Have a blessed day of rest, my brothers and sisters. I sure know I am. Shabbat shalom and hallelujah.